Hey, are you one of those people spending hours in front of the TV set watching one of these many programs about ghosts, hauntings, people creeping around in attics and basements? Why are you doing that? Is it because you hear things that go thump in the night? Is your basement haunted? Is your attic haunted? Are there really ghosts? Do they exist? Is someone just making this up? Well, today we are going to reach a decision about whether that's true or not true, because we have with us an exciting guest, a person who has spent her entire life living with ghosts. My name is Vin Dacquino, and our special guest today is Kathy O'Donnell. Kathy, let's talk writing and ghosts.
Okay.
Glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much.
Kathy, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how this whole thing about ghosts came into being.
Well, first of all, I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And I grew up seeing phenomenon that I learned a little bit later in life that the other kids didn't see, especially my parents, because they would punish me whenever I would say things about ghosts, or I saw like my dead aunt, you know, over there in the corner, and they would get upset. So I would shut it down later on in life after I got married. Didn't really mention that to my husband-to-be, and reawakened about 25 years ago.
So when you say early in life, are you talking about very young?
In the crib.
In the crib?
I have memories of being in my crib and being comforted by light, seeing, like in the corner of my room, it would start out as a white sphere, and it would start to, the best way to describe it is a sparkler from the 4th of July. But it would come down like a waterfall, and then it would move over to the crib. And this is usually when I'm crying because my mother just shut the door and I'm in the dark. And I would just feel, I would just stop. And I can't really put into words the feeling of peace.
Peace or fear?
Peace.
Peace.
Yes.
So this didn't scare you?
No,
this
not at all.
Wasn't a story of a child saying, there's a monster in my
No,
closet?
actually I had a lot of fun because, you know, if it wasn't that one, it would be different color balls of light in the room. And I just thought that was the funniest thing, watching them play with each other.
Well, now with hindsight, what the heck was that?
They were my guides.
Your guides?
The 4th of July show was an angel. And it was...
So you believe you have an angel watching over you?
Everybody does.
Everybody
has a guardian, yes.
Okay, and can we hear them? I mean, how do these angels communicate with us?
Well, whispers. That's the best way to describe it. A lot of people will say, well, I just keep seeing this word like on a license plate or on a truck, or I hear it on the radio. Those are whispers from the other side trying to give you a message.
So these little things that seem like messages or signs.
Coincidences, if I hear that one more time, it's just a coincidence.
There's no such thing as coincidences
I don't think so.
when it comes to the paranormal.
Right.
Everything happens for a purpose.
Yes.
To everything there is a season and a reason. Okay. Talk to me about some of these spirits. So you were in your crib. These things happened more often as you got older?
Yes. There was, should I tell you a little bit later in life, there was the portal that would open up in my room.
Tell me about it. Portals especially, I'm very interested. Portals, we remember, are openings to the other world. The other side.
Right.
Okay,
which a lot of people don't even realize. It's almost like a dimensional door opening.
Wow.
And a large buffalo, white buffalo, used to come through. I thought nothing of it. I just would sit there and giggle, and this thing would come.
So a large white buffalo would like appear to you?
Right. It wouldn't just appear. I would actually see it go over like a doorway, you know, like a step, And actually, sometimes the dust would even come through. I could see the planes in the background and hear and see the other buffalo in the background, and the dust would actually come into my room.
What was he trying to say to you?
Today, I believe that I was being given instructions. I don't remember what the specific words were, and it wasn't like he was talking like Mr. Ed. I mean, it was more just mind to mind, or soul to soul.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this white buffalo kind of talks.
That was just a guide for temporary.
So here's a question. Did you tell anyone about this?
No, because by then I was afraid to say anything to my parents. And I do have a sister who is on our team, and it's funny, but I never even mentioned it to her because I didn't want trouble. But I find out later in life she had the same experiences that I did.
One of the major themes in my books, especially about my 2 books on diabetes, is that it's okay to be different. That we're all different in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
The main character in my book almost died from diabetes because he was ashamed to talk about the differences that were happening. Didn't want to be different. It must have been incredible for you to see white buffaloes and lights in your room and not be able to talk with anyone about this.
Well, exactly.
Can children connect to the other world?
Most children do.
Really?
Infants are born, as we say in the business, with one foot still on the other side.
Wow.
So a lot of people will say, oh yeah, well, when you're holding the baby and the baby kind of lifts its head and looks off to the side or is following something, they're not, and there's nobody back there with a body. They're following their guide who is trying to integrate them into this world.
Wow.
Talking words of comfort to them.
So now your guide, was it more than just this buffalo?
Oh, I've had numerous.
Wow, talk to me about some of these guides.
I had a white wolf also. That was actually not that long ago. That was about 8 or 10 years ago. And we were doing a drumming circle at this woman's house. And there was a Native American who was the head of it.
Wow.
And I just went whoosh, right in, and this wolf came up over this hill. It was snowing. It was the middle of the summer. But it was snowing on his side.
Wow.
And I mean, I could see every detail, every hair. And the message was, look what you're doing to Mother Earth.
Wow.
So it didn't really, surprise me. But I had to give this message to about 30 people.
Wow. I remember, you mentioned the drums. I remember when we brought 2 members of the Ninum drummers.
Right.
And we went to Van Cortlandt Park to try to find Chief Ninum's body.
Yeah.
You freaked me out when you walked into the woods and you fell on your knees in the middle of the spot in the woods and you said, "Here, he's by the stream." And I said, I think she's losing it because there is no stream.
I know, it can be a little strange.
Yeah, but then the historian behind me said, hey, they rerouted the stream.
Right.
It did run there.
Right.
And what happens? I mean, they sort of channel themselves through you? What?
I just get pictures in my head. Sometimes I'll actually see a person. Sometimes I'll hear them. Sometimes I just sense it. A lot of times, like when people die, especially with the Ninum, my sister and I actually were giving information. You could actually hear them hooping, hollering, screaming. It was actually horrible, and that was where he came off his horse and fell.
Wow.
It was really.
And there was something about dogs had attacked them. I remember with the Ninum story, what happened was they were in Van Cortlandt Park, what today is called Van Cortlandt Park. They were ambushed by the British.
Right.
They were massacred.
Right.
Their bodies were strewn all over the field.
Yeah.
Dogs came and actually
Tore.
took parts of their bones
Right.
went off with them,
Right.
and then they buried them in shallow graves.
Right.
So no one knows for certain where they're buried.
Right.
But you felt them.
Right. Well, and the historian did say it did actually happen in this area.
Wow.
So, which I had no idea. We were not given any information prior to going there. So
Now, speaking of no information, another thing that you do that fascinates me is that people become upset that they're living with spirits. And they call you and they say,
we're
"Help me."
usually the last resort. They usually try everything else first, and then it's the, could you come to my house? I think I have a ghost.
So this isn't exactly like an exorcism. I mean, you don't do one of these.
No. No, it's actually, I usually ask the homeowner to do a lot of research prior to us going there, but not to give it to us before we go there, because we like confirmation constantly. And then we'll go there, and, well, I have to say, we usually get precognitive stories the night before, the day before.
Before you even go to the
Before
house.
we even go. Sometimes if I'm on the phone or on the computer with somebody, pictures will start rolling.
Wow.
We make the connection that fast. And then other times we get nothing. So.
Okay, so here's a scary question.
Yes.
Are some of these ghosts scary ghosts? Do you deal with evil spirits?
I don't like to use evil spirits. I'm not going to say there isn't evil out there, but it is so minuscule. What you see on TV and in the movies is exactly, it's for entertainment. Even the people telling my story, my ghost story, it's to sell.
So some of these writers are writing to sell.
Right.
And they're not all hitting the mark when they talk about supernatural?
Not
You
in
don't
my
think so?
lifetime.
Okay. So here's a question for you. What are these spirits doing out there?
Trying to communicate, trying to understand, well, first of all, spirits. There's two different types of spirits. There is the spirit that is earthbound. Those are the ones you hear knocking on the walls, moving things. Those are the ones, they're not trying to scare you. They're trying to get your attention, like I would be doing this. That's all, but everybody perceives it as being a demon or an evil spirit. They're not. They're humans without bodies.
Do they need something?
Yeah, they want to know, how do I get out of here?
Oh, so they're trapped.
They're trapped.
Okay, so I hear you.
Yeah.
I honestly believe when I did my Sybil Luddington book, she stayed with me for 3.5 years. She drove me crazy. And I think the reason was, I was later to find out that almost all the information we knew about Sybil Luddington, from the ride until she died at 77 years old, was wrong.
Right.
It was wrong. She was getting credit for her son's children, her husband, they didn't even have his name straight, her grandson, who gave his life in Kansas.
Right.
They were giving her son the credit for it instead. Well, Sybil Luddington was a great woman, and I believe that she just couldn't stay dead.
No, well, that's the second spirit. Those are ones that whoever, they've ascended, they've gone. And if there's a wrong or something comes up or somebody calls them here, they can come back. They still have free will, of course. You know, that's a God-given right.
So they're not necessarily trapped here. There's a group that have gone beyond.
Right.
And they've crossed over.
And they can come back.
And they can come back.
Yeah, sure. So I think that's where
Now, can they come back to help us?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
two groups. Those who need help and those who can help.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So, now the ones who need help, these are the ones with incomplete stories.
Right.
I would put George Denny in that group. George Denny, remember, was the only person ever to hang in Putnam County.
Right.
And I believe that he's coming back, or still here, not coming back, that he hasn't been able to cross over. He has a story to complete. And I believe that he's working through me to try to get it done. Do you believe that spirits can work through writers to try to get writers to tell their story for them?
I'm a big believer in that,
Wow.
actually. that a lot of stories that are told are being helped by spirit.
So that I'm not losing my mind when...
I mean, I think, was it Stephen King? Or there was another author, and he said, somebody was interviewing him, and he said, well, where do you get all these ideas? In my dreams.
Whoa.
Spirit comes to you most often in dreams.
Wow.
Everybody has.
And these dreams have meanings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you remember them crystal clear. Those are visits. Those are not just dreams.
Wow.
So.
And these are, they're trying to put something in your head to help them get the story through.
Right.
So my belief that Sybil Ludington was kind of like obsessing to get her story done isn't just fantasy. I'm not crazy. It really could have happened. She was my motivation for writing that book.
It could have been you read something and it didn't sit well with you. So now what she's doing, she's coming to help you get the real story out.
Wow.
And as you'll notice with the Denny story, how many avenues you have unexpectedly just come up with. Right?
Right. Oh, yes, that's right.
Mysteriously, somebody will call you, or you'll talk to one person and send you to another person.
So true.
Yeah.
So when a writer feels that he or she is being haunted by an idea, really is being haunted by an idea.
Yes, you are.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit more, again, about you and your experiences. Now, you said your sister? Mm-hmm. So your sister also is sensitive?
Yes.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Actually, so is my mother, but she completely is in denial and actually gets pretty nasty about it if anybody asks her about it, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Is that because of the fear of being different?
Yes, absolutely.
Afraid of being different. Yeah. So should we fear the supernatural?
No.
No.
No. The more you fear it, the more it eats away at you. I mean, that's being in the dark.
But there are some evil spirits. So what you're telling me is ghosts have personalities just like people.
Well, yeah. If you're cranky, let's just put it this way. If you're cranky I can't say it on the air. During life, you are going to carry that over to the other side.
Wow.
If you're earthbound, the ones who come back and forth don't really retain that. They're at peace. They let go of all that.
So some of the anger you have in life can go with you?
If you're earthbound.
Oh, if you're earthbound.
Yeah. If you ascend to the other side, there is no need for that on the other side. But
if you're trapped here, if you have some...
You are exactly, and I mean exactly, and then just imagine, you waking up one morning, and you turn to your significant other in bed, and you're trying to wake them up. I always tell clients this, and they can't hear you. You're walking through the house, you're trying to talk to your kids. They can't hear you. Okay, everybody that comes into that, wouldn't you go a little bit off your nut? So
that's what they do.
They're really upset.
So they're upset and they're angry, and they're looking for someone from Earth to try to make connections and to help them with whatever they're doing.
Right.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so you go, someone calls you and says, hey, my son can't sleep. There's a little girl wandering around his room making him crazy. What do you tell that kid? I mean, what do you do? You just go there and...
First of all, I really don't say anything to the child yet. You have to talk to the parent. Okay. You have to educate them first that this is not a scary thing. It's a normal thing.
Okay.
That you don't want to encourage anyone to encourage spirits to participate in this life, because then that keeps them here longer.
Oh, wow.
So
your communication when you go to a haunted house is with the spirits.
Right.
What are you telling them? Get out?
No, I negotiate. I'm a spirit counselor.
Okay. Oh, a spirit counselor.
Yes.
So you counsel the spirits.
Yes.
Do you coax them to leave quietly?
Yes. Doesn't always work out like that, though. Unfortunately. you know, I just talk to them. Why, you know, why are you here? Some of them are there voluntarily. Some of them died very quickly and have no idea what happened to them. There's so many variables, and each, just like humans, they're also different.
Is there a difference between a child spirit and an adult spirit? Are children
just the way you
spirits,
talk to them.
Are they more reluctant to leave?
Yeah, they're terrified of leaving mommy and daddy. So that is why they usually end up sticking around at the place where they died.
So when we talk about, so what makes a spirit pick a particular place? Is it because that person died there? I've heard it said that if a person dies violently in a place, that person usually stays there and haunts that place. Is that true?
Usually.
Usually.
Well, like the train station that we recently did, there was a gentleman there, and he kept following. Actually, we were there because there was a woman and a child in the basement. And I was drawn to the upstairs, so my team, they were down there. They started negotiations down there, and I had to take care of the guy upstairs, and he's pleading with me. Why am I here? What happened? What happened? I mean, that's all he kept saying in my head, and I'm like, oh. So then I had to get him to realize
that he was dead.
What was the last thing you remember?
Wow.
He remembers clutching pain, clutching his chest. I said, and then I could see the picture happening. He had had a massive heart attack because not only was he talking about his chest, but his head, the back of his head, he just dropped.
So some of these things, now I've seen similar things on some of these shows. Some of these shows are hitting some of the things that really do happen with spirits.
Oh, yes.
So they're not that far-fetched.
No, I'm not against them. I'm glad actually that it's kind of brought it out to the general public. It's really nothing to be afraid of. The more we're afraid of stuff, the worse it gets.
Okay, so here's a big question. Should we be messing around with the spirits?
No.
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 Talk to me about that.
Like Ouija boards, if you're treating this as a joke or a game.
It's not a joke.
It is not a joke and it is not a game.
And these spirits really do exist.
They do.
And
would you treat your grandmother like a joke? I mean, these are people. These are real people. They just don't have bodies.
Okay. All right. So
I'm very passionate about it because all the misinformation that's out there and the fooling around and
you need to take it seriously. And if you have this urge to write about it, you have to be serious about what you're doing. And you need to listen.
Right.
Listen.
Right.
These people are whispering.
Right.
And they're saying things that they need you to hear.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Whoa.
Just be serious about it.
So don't be messing with Ouija boards. No. Don't be messing with spirits. Don't make a big joke out of it because it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
What about these evil spirits? I hear people say, you know, there's these places that are haunted where there's really scary things. Should we be climbing fences and going into buildings looking for these evil spirits?
No. Well, first of all, a lot of the evil spirits are, like I said before, just cranky old people. And, you know, and they're just as bad in death as they are in life. If there are other things out there that even I don't really understand, whether they're from another dimension or whatever, that I understand the spirit world. I can't really touch on that. All I know is I have heard more than enough stories that bad things can happen to you.
You and I have worked together on several investigations in hauntings of the Hudson River Valley. I've talked about you a great deal. I respect you highly. You do blow my mind. you do get me wondering. But I know that you want to do more. And I know that in the future, you and I will be working together again. You want a new book to come out of this. What is the bottom line of this new book? What are you trying to say to these people?
Just what we were talking about here. I want the truth to come out.
that spirits do exist.
They
Dead people live here.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay. And that we should respect the dead.
Yes.
And when writing about it, we should listen, and we should not ignore some of the important signs that we seem to get, that these are not things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
They're spirits speaking with us.
They're people.
They're people.
Yeah.
And some of them are trapped. Some of them need help.
Right.
Some of them can give help.
Right.
So when we see these signs of warning, when we get that feeling in the pit of the stomach.
Exactly. Your intuition, you know, you have to go with that.
Intuition may be a communication with the spirits.
Right. Well,
I think we've heard some very interesting things today. And I think one of the things that we heard is that some of these writers are missing the point. Some of them are right on the money. There are trapped souls living with us. They surround us. They need respect, just as you would respect a relative, a friend, a neighbor. They are, in fact, our neighbors.
exactly.
So, I ask you to think about Kathy. I ask you to pay very strict attention to her group. You have a team.
Yes.
And they are called?
Katona Paranormal.
Katona Paranormal.
Karen.
We have that on the screen.
Right. Karen and Barry.
Good. Karen and Barry work with you. Karen is your sister.
Yes.
Barry, he's a specialist, and he
In
specializes with
electronic voice phenomenon.
Okay.
He captures dead people's voices.
Whoa. So
You can
he
go to
has
the website and listen to some fantastic.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, we cannot thank you enough for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Sharing some of your passion.
Yeah.
And we look forward to maybe seeing you again. Would you come back?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you for joining us today. And keep in mind that we will have additional writers, thinkers, who will be joining us. One of the people we might have is an architect who is going to show us that we need to know a great deal about what our house is and what it does. We look forward to talking with him. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. So, Kathy, where's the next investigation?
With you.
Ah, good. So we're going up to
Putnam Valley.
Putnam Valley, and we're going to look at some of the spirits in Putnam Valley.
Yes.
I understand that there is a lady spirit haunting a place that is still in business. And the owner is very concerned, just wants to be sure that the woman is not there for any harmful reasons. Do you already sense who she is and what she's doing?
Actually, I've tried to connect with her several times. It might be a ghost, not a spirit. Might be just an apparition, a residual.
And there's a difference between
Absolutely.
residuals
Absolutely.
and actual spirit.
So it may just be triggered and like a movie playing.
So when this is over today, we're going to take a trip.
Yes.
And we are going to be back to work.
And maybe Jay is up there.
Investigation.
The guy,
very
the male.
Well, again, thank you very much for joining us today. And let's hope that we've touched some people out there who have not been giving the kind of respect they need to give to our spirits. May the spirits be with you.